3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show. Alongside Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Ryan Brewer is in the house talking some Gamecock football and more.
Brewsday.
And like his Gamecock teammate, he is about to be, his Gamecock teammate Langston Moore is now officially the parent of a Division I athlete. Ryan and Liz soon will be once she finishes high school. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome. It's glad to be here. It's not talking season anymore. We're about to strap them on and see what our boys have out there, man. It's
Well, we're not going to talk about that. Did you watch the Connor Stallions documentary?
I did not. I'm over all that, to be honest with you. But
did Elijah Campbell watch the Connor Stallions documentary?
Elijah Campbell did not.
Okay.
But he plans to.
Jay Phillips did.
That wasn't on my to-do list.
Jay Phillips
give me any
did
notes on that one.
during show prep today.
I read that you don't learn anything new, so I was discouraged from checking it out last night.
No, you don't learn anything new from an investigative standpoint, but I think we did learn. I'll talk about it later. Not right now, but I'll talk about it later.
I'm interested to hear your review. So I've read some things about it.
Yeah, no,
I haven't watched yet, which I need to.
Yeah,
maybe at a break I'll do like the Cliff Notes version of it and go.
I'll give it to you.
See. Okay,
I'll give it to you. How you been?
man, I'm doing great.
We hadn't. Well, I've spoken with you in between off the air, but we saw you at Craft and Draft.
Yes,
So
I think we had a decent show in the cool air there.
Yeah, it was warm.
Surrounded by
Columbia.
fans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, by
By fans
And by-
that
and
keep
by
you
cooling
cool.
devices.
Yes. Yeah, that. Yeah,
Yes.
both.
Sure.
So, but
I
yeah,
was gonna leave
everything's
that part
good, man. I got teams are out there putting in some fence, and my girls are playing volleyball and soccer right now. So it's a busy season.
Nice. All right. So I sometimes joke with Langston about this time of year and the Lou Holtz nightmares. Do you still have them, or?
I don't. I feel like I've heard Langston talk. I feel like I've gone through a lot with Coach Holtz. I really have, but I don't have the nightmares maybe he had. I think maybe he might. Maybe just because he mentally can handle, he actually remembers everything that happened. I don't. It's one thing with maybe the concussions I had. It's another thing with maybe how I played, how I was raised. It's like once that was over, it's over type deal.
That's fair. I asked him about what was a defensive lineman's equivalent of Fumble Island. So,
I do remember Fumble Island, and I do remember getting very aggravated with my running back counterparts that would fumble. Or receivers and receivers. So I had if a receiver or a running back fumbled, I had to go to Fumble Island.
Why don't you explain to folks? Because I've tried to explain it, but I will be honest, I never had to do Fumble Island. Why don't you tell everybody?
So literally, we had a corner with a sand pit, like you would just imagine sand pit, and then you had rubber tires going through like a gauntlet of rubber tires, and you had to hold on there. And while you come out of there, depending on how bad it was, and how either Coach Pugh or Fitch or Joker, whoever, how mad they were at the time, then they'd line up people next right when you went through the tires and just start smacking the crap out of your arms and trying to pull the ball out. And it just depends on how bad the fumbles were that day, too, and just how ticked off everybody was. And you go through that, you're like, that's not a big deal. The tires are really tight. And you put shoulder pads on, you have to go through there with a lot of force, with a lot of speed. And then if it does catch your arm, it doesn't feel great.
Right.
But it was just one of those. Your arms are pretty much numb when it's done, type deal. And I'm a guy with screws in both my wrists, and so it was real fun to have to hold on to that ball. And
I picture Lou, the scene in Spinal Tap. Their manager has the cricket bat, sort of based on Peter Grant of Led Zeppelin. I picture Lou at the end of the row of tires on Fumble Island with some type of apparatus to just smack you.
Yeah, just the old school, the swinging spiked baseball bats, and all that's coming at you, and you just got to the old it was not American Gladiator type deal, where the gauntlet stuff there. So it got interesting because they said if they weren't inflicting pain or they didn't get someone else to fumble on Fumble Island, you just kept going. You had to see someone actually start wincing really bad where they're like, all right, that was good enough. Don't do it again.
Do it again.
It had to be punishment, is what you're saying.
Do it again.
Correct.
Do it again. Well, there you go. All right. So, I didn't mean for that to to go that far. So, but you don't need
asked.
therapy. Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, I didn't.
now I do
from
now,
my
so-
point of view, like
I was good until you brought it up.
Yeah,
now I'm like, damn, I gotta.
right now I've put bad memories.
Not
in
even
your
5 minutes for making him relive Lou Holt's Fumble Island trauma.
Yeah,
This is a
that was-
fantastic start.
That was not necessarily my goal. Just other than preseason is now over. But Fumble Island remained. That was not just a preseason or spring thing. That was weekly.
Yeah. And drop passes. There's also. I mean, if and again, it's a team game, but if I didn't drop the pass, why am I getting punished for his dumbass not being able to catch a ball?
That's fair. That's an excellent question.
So that's when the fights start happening in the locker room and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But it's but in good ways.
Yeah. Well,
You get better, or you won't get punched in the face.
Yeah,
No, just don't.
there you go.
Good lesson. Yeah, good life lesson you can learn
Yeah,
there, too.
yeah, we have-
Be better.
That's right.
Be better. Get punched in the face. Yeah.
We got a lot to get to. Bruce with us here for the entire 3 o'clock hour, as he will be every single Tuesday during the course of the football season. We always appreciate that. We've been doing it for a long time, and Elijah nicknaming it last year Brewsday, which has stuck. So that's what it is. Again, T-shirts to come if we can figure that out.
I got a tattoo of that now. So
Oh wow,
We both
with
do.
my
man,
QR code or whatever it is.
nice. Yeah, I didn't.
So you can
realize.
continue racking up NIL.
Yes.
QR code. Yeah, that's right. Ryan.
You
said
have
he's
years of not being able to collect it. Now is the time to cash in.
I will too. I'm gonna wear a T-shirt, maybe even billboard.
I
around the
do.
stadium.
I mean, look, you're now a very successful businessman, husband, father, which is a wonderful thing for you and your family. But there are times when I'm serious about this in a funny way. There was a lot of 21 jerseys sold 23 years ago.
There were jerseys, pets named after me, kids, things like that, type deals that, maybe NIL would have, been okay.
How many people
My
have you
pockets would
met?
have been fine.
How many people have you met that now have like a kid who's at Carolina, whose name is either Ryan or Brewer or something?
And this one might be, listen, he's actually, there is a Ryan Brewer now working at the university and has to, with facilities. And he does a great job. And I've had multiple texts and calls to me saying, hey, man, what are you doing? Are you working at the university now? I said, no, this kid's, 23 years younger than me. He's working now at, there. And he's and like, I've had events, people that I know forever, event staff, security, stuff like that are like, man, well, why you emailing me? Why are you doing that? I'm like, it's not me. It's not me.
We'll talk to Brew about what's going on in August camp, as I like to call it. Again, I can't do the fall camp thing, but we'll touch on that. Shane spoke today.
I did receive a text from Preston Thorne, our own Preston Thorne,
Coach
not too
P.
long ago, Coach P, that not only are we getting it wrong with fall camp because it's not fall type weather, but they don't do camp anymore. So it's not. Can we still call it camp?
Hey, if he wants me to drop it and just call it practice, I'm fine
It's
with
practice.
Yeah,
They're
Training
not,
camp.
I like that.
They're not in their own little dorm room right now, are they? And they're having their own their time, and they're away from everybody else and singing Kumbaya and doing all that.
Nope, not
it's
roasting
camp.
marshmallows, at sunset.
It's practice.
Having
No
bug-
tents.
bug juice, as we called it when I went to summer camp. Bug juice.
I had bug juice as a kid.
Yeah.
They may have bug juice, but that's different.
Well, now they got it labeled and sponsored.
I had the labeled and sponsored, and
Yeah.
Depends on who's doing the presser.
I don't know what that's. Ours was just red. I don't really know.
orange, baby.
Yeah. I don't know. I can still think
That
red.
stuff hit.
Red, and it depended on who in the kitchen was making it that day. Some days it was like perfect. Some days it was way too sweet. Some days it was like, this is just red water.
It's like the price of anything at Waffle House. It's not the same.
Right.
It's all different. And it's not different by a lot, but it's going to be a little different each
I
time.
don't even know what the heck you're all talking about. So
You've had bug juice. It's just punch.
nah,
Like Kool-Aid.
Us Ohioans didn't do that.
You went to camp?
Nah,
No? What do y'all do in Ohio?
sports camp.
Well, I mean, I went
There's
to
no
sports
bug
camp.
juice
I mean,
there.
I went to like Jim Carlin football camp and stuff.
You have bug juice there?
I don't
No,
remember.
you did not.
I think we had Gatorade
No,
and
you
water.
didn't. This is what I'm saying.
Okay, thank
You
you.
had bug
sports
juice
camp.
before it was trademarked, though. That's
you
the
would actually. I
difference.
think you get beat up at sports camp if you were drinking bug juice.
Well, I mean,
You would. I'm
you
telling
may.
you.
Okay, I don't know. That seems kind of harsh. I mean,
I'm just telling the truth.
what if it was called Kool-Aid?
That's different
Okay.
because there's actually Kool-Aid. That's a brand. That's
Yeah, I don't
not-
think bug juice is a brand. I think it's just sort of a
It's
nickname.
something you get beat up at sports camp if you call it that.
Okay. I didn't realize it. I don't remember getting beat up at Jim Carlin football camp for that, so that's good.
Because you weren't drinking bug juice.
Or because he got beat
Kool-Aid
that
or-
hard,
or-
he does not remember.
Well, that's true. Yes, that's right. The
probably
the
did.
beating was so merciless that it was done before it ever started. We'll get into a few NFL things for you. Braves won. Had to hang on, man. They were up 9-1, but they only won 10-6. I mean, the win's a win. I don't care at this point.
Oh, that's when you're trying to claw back in that division. And now that the Phillies are playing some really tough competition down the stretch.
Yeah. Well, you know who the Braves have next after the Twins? They have the Phillies, and for 4 in Philadelphia. The Kelsey brothers get rich as if they weren't already. Panthers made some moves. We'll touch on all those things throughout the course of the afternoon. Before we hit the first of our breaks, Ryan, let's just kind of overall thoughts on what you've been learning this August. We saw the depth chart yesterday, and we'll talk more about that in detail in just a little bit. But we know last year, 50-something players were first or second-year players. So now there's a maturity, but there's also a whole bunch of new. So when you look at that kind of thing, what concerns you the most? What pleases you the most about what you've learned?
I think that's what I've been hearing a lot is talking about how, we do have the mature players. We have the guys that are seniors, or we have the most seniors, whatever. But how many starters do we actually have that played in garnet and black on the offensive side of the ball last year? Maybe two games or more.
Ooh.
Vershawn's one.
Okay, Vershawn Lee.
Simon, maybe. Did he start?
Yeah.
Do you count Luke Doty at a different position?
Well, I count him. Okay, I'll give you Dude. Yeah,
he's not listed as starter now, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of guys at Garner Black that actually started.
Because Luke started.
Yeah, Vershawn. All right, Vershawn.
That's a different position.
Different position, yeah. So you put
my point is, we're saying, yes, we have some older guys when it comes to rocketing these transfers and guys coming in that have played some football, but that's but not Garnet Black.
Right.
They haven't been Gamecocks. They haven't been at Williams-Brice. All of this is going to be brand new to them. When they come out, the first snap on the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, that's a completely different story. But that's where what's going to happen, the first couple of series there with all the younger guys or newer guys that have come on the squad. But what I've seen, the practices and things that I've seen is we have a lot of fire. We got a little bit different off season, at least when it comes to the social media side and all that stuff. We not a lot of the kind of bunch of game stuff coming out trying to show that, hey, we're having fun. A lot more work, a lot more guys doing a lot of work, a lot of energy. When it comes, I went to one practice last week. I can't remember, last week, I think last Thursday or so, and just the fire, especially at the end, seeing just the passion, the want to win, offense versus defense, going at it. And the ones were going at each other. They were keeping score, and it's just fun to watch that the fire they had, what they're going to do out there. And I think they got some leaders, and each group has guys that want to step up, that want to be a leader. And I was worried. I asked Coach about it. I said, who's your leader in the receiver room with all these new guys? And no hesitations, Luke is. Yeah, Luke's the leader. And I was like, I didn't even think about that because I still don't think of him as a receiver, even though he got a couple snaps. But that's just. But he is. So when he said that, I was early in the practice. I started watching. And he's coaching, he's teaching, he's on the side. When he's not in, he's going with the younger guys and getting with the transfers. And I was like, okay, he's the guy there, because I'm worried about that core, because none of those guys have seen snaps. Right. None of those guys have seen the ball thrown at them or caught enough balls in this type of competition, and that worries me a little bit. But seeing what they did that day, making plays, the energy they had with that, and then also seeing Luke what he was doing, and then. The coaching staffs and stuff too are just. Those guys are going 100 miles per hour in a good way too.
In terms of that receiver core, I'm going to start you off on the other side of the break with a question about those guys as it relates to what you expect to see Saturday in what is now a real football game for Carolina. Lots to do with former Gamecock Ryan Brewer, Jay, Elijah. It's the Tuesday Postgame Show. 19 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell. It's the post-game show. Our good friend Ryan Brewer, who I've not done my official intro like I do for him in Langston, the former Gamecock running back, wide receiver team, captain, punt returner, kick returner, special teams gunner, husband, father, business owner, coach.
You ran through that like a medicine TV commercial runs through side effects at the end of it.
That's right. That's right.
The old Micro Machine guy.
That's what that guy. Yeah, well, we're old enough to remember that. Sadly, Elijah
else
is not.
Yeah.
Before my time. Yeah. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
It was like the dude who had like the world record for like the fastest reading of like 1,000 words or something, and then he did commercials, and one of them was for tiny little cars called micro machines. And he basically, I think in the commercial, could read like every micro machine they made in like a 30-second commercial.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. That guy.
Challenge accepted.
Look it up. Yep.
Yeah. YouTube it. Google it.
Ooh, Google. Yeah. Do both.
Those are verbs.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Like effort.
Yeah, efforting. We efforted Ryan Brewer to get him in the studio today.
You can effort that information by Googling it.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Let's bend the English language to our will.
And make one particular listener really angry.
And I hope it still does.
Have I ever told you that story? I'll tell you off here. I don't want to tell it again on here today. All right, so Saturday, 4:15-ish, kickoff, Gamecocks, Old Dominion. I have put forth the theory that this weekend, that you basically, you can take 74, as you know, you can take 70. Shane said 74. I thought it was 75, but maybe they shaved a guy off. I don't know, but I'll take the coach's word for it and say 74 can be in your traveling party for conference road games.
Okay.
My theory is that you basically identify the bulk of those guys. You probably already have, for one thing, and you have. And then maybe if there's a few that you're sort of juggling, you let them know this week. Other than that, you're not really trying to clear the entire bench despite being a 3-point, favorite or 3-touchdown favorite, in this game. Does that make sense in terms of what you're looking at?
I got you. Yeah.
All right. Would you agree or not?
Yeah.
And you can disagree. It's fine. You have before.
No, you're talking about just who you're bringing to the game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like how you're picking who.
I'm saying I'm picking my Kentucky roster. I'm picking my Kentucky roster this week, and I am playing with them on Saturday so that they can all learn what they need to do. You mentioned
all right, for your starters, yes, or your starting two, right? Your ones and twos. That makes sense. After that, you want to see. All right, if you start doing scenarios, if this happens, I want to see this guy get so many snaps. Maybe if this happens there, hey, but we have a chance. This guy's been working his tail off. He may never see the field, but this is a game we can have him on the sideline and kind of feel good about himself. You also have guys that, hey, he may be a freshman, but we got to make him feel good as well, because if we lose him, if he's not on the sideline type deal, and you do lose one, you lost one somehow or another, because they're not named on the top 9. We talk about receivers. There's things that happen. They got to weigh a lot more scenarios. But their first focus is who's starting, or who's playing, who's getting the most, who's going to be the guy right behind them, and maybe the third string when it comes to there. After that, it's, all right, guys, special teams. Who do we have? Who's working hard on special teams? Who we can fill in there? And that's during practices too. Like, all right, this guy right here is balling out. Like, I'll use, for instance, like a Bradley Dunn, Hammond kid. Yeah. He's absolutely just been unfortunate with injuries, but works his tail off. Got a scholarship this year. Yeah. Worked hard enough to get one there. So he's the one that you want to see, get in the game, special teams, do what he can, and if he has a chance in this game, carry the ball. You want to reward that effort, and that there's a couple guys that are going to be doing that way. Everyone else is, you've got to look at our playing time. What are they going to do? How are they going to help us win? But there are a handful, especially in these home games, when you can have that many guys on the sidelines. You want to reward them for what they did in the offseason.
Certainly. Yeah, I mean, and the offensive line is an interesting one for this team specifically, and that's one thing I wanted to ask Shane about in the press conference today in terms of just continuity, finding the guys that you want as starters, and because I think they're going to be able to willingly rotate players in and out, not having to put guys in because of necessity, because you're certainly a lot healthier now than you were at this point last year. But with two guys in particular, with Kamar Bell and Torricelli Simpkins, on the interior of the offensive line, they played a lot of college football, and they have a lot of experience, maybe not SEC experience. You mentioned some of it with the receivers, but when it comes to a unit and gelling as a unit, you got a left tackle who's making his first ever college football game, starting with Josiah.
Makes you feel real good.
And then two interior offensive linemen who, while they've played a lot of football and they've graded really well at different levels of college football, are making their first start as well. How hard is it for that unit to be able to gel in just like that first 2 weeks of preseason practice and then being able to apply it in this first game? And how much does that scenario kind of sit in your mind when you're talking about a run game that's going to be really the anchor of this offense?
I think you're going to see mistakes. And you're going to be, just because of what you said, what they've done, especially having a first-year guy at left tackle. There's going to be missed assignments, because the things we always talk about it every year, man. When it's actually live bullets coming at you versus a practice, it's different. Your mind starts racing a little bit faster, and you got to find a way to get that slow down, and that's just repetition. that's getting on there and being able to play. But when these guys have the form, but I think right now, you talk about the ones and twos. I think it's the best scenario we've had in a long time. Because it's not like the competition level. Oh man, ones and twos, and I don't know who's going to start because they're not. They're battling because they're good right now. Mm-hmm. They're battling out because they're both playing well, and that's going to push them even harder and want to do better. But I don't think there's going to be that much of a drop off once one comes out versus the two, and that's probably the best thing we've had in a long time. But the gelling part, that's got to happen in practice. It's got to happen with repetition, going there, running the ball, knowing. And that's the one thing that scares me about having Rocket not getting a lot of touches in this offseason as well, is you got to be able to read what an O-lineman does. I got to know. I mean, I pretty much knew everything my O-line was doing before the snap. I knew how fast so-and-so got to when he pulled the ball there, or when he was a pulling guard, or how fast people set off on when it was a draw play. I knew where I needed to speed up. If I knew a D lineman was 2 feet further outside, I knew my right tackle was going to set faster. I knew this draw play is going to be hair second faster. Mm-hmm. That's just no one seeing what they can do. Repetition going there. You have a running back that hasn't seen that a lot with these guys and a bunch of new linemen. It's going to take time for that to start gelling, for that reads going. So, I mean, that's where the zone, easy plays, the zones, the stretches, maybe a couple of powers where just let them hit them hard and get some right off the bat is going to help. But it's going to be, I expect to see some missed assignments early. I also expect them to clean them up quick because they know if they make a couple more, there's a guy right on their tail who's going to take their spot in a heartbeat.
Because I like the offensive line roster as is. Like, I like the names there, and I feel like it can produce not just a competent, but like a good running game. But when I watched the Georgia Tech Florida State game in Week 0, that Georgia Tech offensive line didn't just maul Florida State's defensive line. They moved in total synchronicity to be able to, create running lanes, to be able to get an incredible push. And I don't think any of those guys are infinitely more talented than the ones they faced off against, but I think that chemistry made just such a large difference. I've always just been really curious about how long it takes to be able to get yourself like that. They brought back a lot of guys on their offensive line from last season, and I think that paid dividends before we even got to Week 1. But that was kind of my biggest question now with the offensive line, just given the list of names on the roster.
Yeah, and when I'm saying like timing and stuff, I'm splitting hairs with guys. Mm-hmm. Every play is designed to go a certain way, certain time, certain speed. Running back steps you're supposed to be the exact same steps. You're supposed to hit the holes at the same time. But then once you get the ball at the line of scrimmage, or before line of scrimmage, you're reading, and then after line of scrimmage, that's when you're making someone miss. What I want to see this year is we're not having to make guys miss in the backfield. That's the biggest deal. We talk about
yards before contact.
Yeah, yards after and before contact. Well, that has nothing to do with it. You could have 5 yards after contact, but if you're hit 3 yards deep in the backfield, you're only getting 2 yards. So it's like it doesn't mean crap to me. I want so when it comes to I want that 5 yards after contact, at the line of scrimmage, 2 yards after the line of scrimmage, 3 or whatever. So now I know I'm getting 5, 8, or whatever, 7, 5, 8 yards, and that's a bigger deal. So last year's we were breaking tackles in the backfield and still getting to the line of scrimmage, and we're like, that can't happen this year. And I think watching the O-line and the numbers we have a lot more. It's just night and day from last year.
Yeah, it is.
The conversations we were having last year already in Week 1, we're like, oh crap!
Right,
injuries are just what are we doing? Who's playing?
What was it? The first 8 games had a different.
You didn't get back-to-back
lineup,
same offensive line starting lineups until Vanderbilt. That was late November.
Yeah, but now it's like we can have this same conversation. It sounds like the same. Who's starting? Who's playing with these oars? But it's more because it's a good competition. Yeah. It's not or because this guy's beat up and he may play or not, or because I had to bring a D lineman over to play offense. So this is a hey, because these guys are pushing each other. We got guys on the bench that played last year, right, or not starting, or the bottom part of the oar, however you want to look at this lineup, and they actually got snaps last year. But a freshman's beating them out, and we know they're decent, but this guy's good. And for all counts, he's really good.
Yeah. I also like that there's 10 names on the offensive line 2 deep, as opposed to, like 8, where the starting left tackle is the backup right guard or something, which I have seen.
We couldn't even run 2 deep in practice.
Yeah, so it's not even that long ago. We'll come back. Plenty more to do with Ryan Brewer. Certainly want his take as well on the punt and kick returners listed on the Gamecock depth chart. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
The game.
Talking some Gamecock football on this Tuesday. It's game week. We're just a few days away. Carolina 21-point favorites over Old Dominion on Saturday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, Ryan Brewer in for his Brewsday visits. As I got to give all the credit to Elijah Campbell.
No, I haven't trademarked it yet, so you can steal as much credit as you want.
For as many years as Ryan has come on, before you and I were working together, Elijah, I'm just disappointed in. I should probably be more disappointed in you.
Oh, thanks. He's pointing at me, by the way.
For not.
For what?
For not coming up with that.
For not branding my own day I came in, and do this for. Yeah. It's just I should have. My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Gamecock Nation, that I didn't
a lot easier.
brand my own day coming in here.
It's a lot easier for me.
You're just lazy.
Well, hey, I'm here.
Thanks, Elijah.
Yeah, thank you, Elijah. Appreciate you.
Especially when the T-shirts come out, we start making money off it. There we go. Then we can thank me.
You want to stay with pass catchers, or you want to go to returners first?
We can.
Because we're going to blend these things ultimately. All right, let me stay with pass catchers a little bit more here then, and I'll include the tight ends right now. For one thing, yesterday Elijah and I had some fun with this. There are 13 listed. All right, 9 wide receivers, 4 tight ends. So we'll let you play along here. No money involved. We have an over/under 9.5 of them that get targeted. I
thought you were trying to say how. I thought we were going height. How many were over 6 foot tall?
Well,
was it 3? If you count
the receivers, if you count the receiver positions, there are 3 that are taller than 6 feet.
Is this with helmets and spikes on?
I don't know how they measure them. Okay, and I'm gonna. You played football, I did not. Yeah. So at the SEC level,
if you could stretch it. You make them as tall as you can. You're trying to scare everybody with that 6 foot.
Which should tell you if there's only 3 measured over 6 foot, that they're definitely not 6-footers.
Correct.
That's what I call the AAU height. If you're 6'5", you're 6'7".
Right. But with 9.5 that get targeted, and that doesn't include running backs. So what do you think? Is that too many?
You're saying 9. Wait.
Like targets, like in terms of players that are out there that can catch a pass.
Yes.
9 wide receivers plus the 4 tight ends. That's 13.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, over under 9.5 that
actually get a pass thrown to them.
Yes, on Saturday.
Under.
Okay, under. What do you got? Did you have the?
I think I had it right at 9.
Okay, so you had the under. I took the over. I said 10.
Okay, I'm saying under, okay. And I'm thinking.
And then I'm
thinking more if Lenoris finds a guy, he's going to stick.
Yeah.
And I think his guy was Bennett in his little limited time playing last year,
right.
Which I actually expect some things from him. But the Dre coming from Florida State is getting better and better and better, and I think that will probably be a very top target there for him.
Does it concern you that you only have 2 what you might call jump ball guys? In Harbor and Campbell?
Do you have downfield stretches? We got kind of lucky with what Xavier did last year and what we've seen with, in the last 10, 15 years with some really, dominant downfield jump ball guys, however you want to say it. But if you have some really shifty slot guys that can run, heck, what guys that tore us apart last year, if we can see what they did to us and implement that is one thing. So, yes, if you want to have a downfield presence, I don't really care about a jump ball guy. Yeah, being taller and fast, but being able to catch is number one.
Sure.
So it comes down to getting open and having confidence in the guy's hands. Being able to run drag routes and slants and corners and quick game with these short guys and quick guys that can make people miss. That's why I think right now we got a lot of quickness. Quick guys that catch the ball on screens, on slants, short game, and actually. Get you 5, 6, 7 extra yards on there. That's a big deal to me. Getting first downs is a big deal to me.
Yes.
Every now and then we have to stretch the field just so they're not creeping up on us. But that's going to happen anyway because these guys can run. They're going. You still got to, even if they're 4'2", they're running down the field. They got all right. We got to stay with them. So and that's the thing. That's what the biggest question mark. And I think what everyone wants to see is what is Harbor going to do?
Yeah.
How's that going to happen? I think that's because going back to this very beginning of this conversation is. You don't know any of these other guys. You know Harbor. You know Simon. Anybody else? They can catch ball that you don't know.
Yeah.
That's and Doty.
Right.
That's who you know as a Gamecock fan coming into this year.
Right.
So it's like you want your guys to do well. And you want a guy that's a track athlete, a Olympian style runner, to go out there and impress and catch the ball and look like his hair's on fire running down the field, and everybody go, oh wow. but that's not reality. When you put pads on, you put a helmet on, you come a little bit slower. You know, if you haven't run routes all the daggone time, you know, it's hard. If you're not catching the ball, you know, 120, 200 balls a day, you know, it's not what you're used to doing. He's still getting there.
Right.
Now, he comes out and impresses right off the bat. I will be the first guy to run down there and give him a high five, because I want him to do so well. I want him to be awesome. Right. But it's just without the repetition again, without the every day sticking there after practice and doing. I'm not saying he's not doing, but doing it's going to be difficult. This was not what he was doing 2 years ago.
Right.
Now, from a play calling standpoint, the thing I think I am most interested in seeing and discovering on Saturday is what are those first 10 to 15 play calls going to look like, the scripted plays. I think, you know, subliminally Dow Loggins might give us, like, you know, a breadcrumb towards what the full picture of this offense might look like, or at least what he thinks of it. Because you have all summer, you've been watching these guys in the spring and these early season, preseason practices, what those 10 to 15 plays look like, how much, you know, 12 personnel, how much, you know, short game that we're going to see through the air, how much of that is going to be on the ground, I think can be a nice reflection as to what they think the skill set of this offense can be, because you don't want to go out there and lay an egg in the first two possessions and then have lemon butt for the next 2.5 quarters if this thing gets really tight against a team that has no business being on the same field with you. I wonder if you have that same sentiment, if you're going to be watching for a similar thing with how Dow Loggins is going to dial up those first 10 to 15 scripted plays.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I hate the whole 10 to 15 or whatever scripted plays. It's 2 to 3 scripted plays. Right now we're down. It's you know, we got 2 first downs, or we're down to, you know, third and whatever. It's still, that card is going to be his play sheet is pretty vast when it comes to it, but it's still, I want to see, like, I think we're talking about what's our bread and butter. Mm-hmm. You know, what do we think we're good at right off the bat, and that's, you know, is it going to be the rocket show? Is it going to be maybe Lenore's showing his legs right off the bat, coming out, showing what he can do, stretching, you know, booting around, and then being able to run or throw, you know, some, you know, not even an RPO situation, but it is because he created it type deal, just showing the athlete he is. But it's who's the guy who's going to target first? You know, that's the real question. Who's the first one to catch the ball? And that's going to be who they probably have confidence in. It's probably going to be a screen, like a little, you know, just to see who can make somebody miss. It's probably going to be, all right, do we go ahead and just throw one deep to see, you know, see what we have? I don't see that happen. I think it's going to be more run-oriented, see what our O-line can do, if we can move these guys around, try to get in the groove, and then go ahead and then see what we have, you know, on the outside and making playmakers that way. But I really see a lot of, like, you know, crossing routes, drag routes, and maybe slants, and some maybe, you know, 15-yard posts would probably be the deepest balls we're throwing early in the game.
Come back with Ryan on the other side. We'll get into his thoughts again on the kick and punt return guys that were listed yesterday on the first depth chart, and more final thoughts from Brew ahead of Saturday's game against Old Dominion. This is the Postgame Show.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
13 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. Jay, Elijah. Ryan Brewer is with us for Brewsday, his regular Tuesday football season visits, and they are conveniently enough brought to you every single week by Ryan Brewer and Ryan Brewer Fence.
Yeah, it's obviously my company. We run a fence company here in town and cover the whole state, but anything you need from residential to commercial fencing, temporary fence, we can handle it for you. Rails, custom work, we can do it all. We got the the whole custom division when it comes to from your wall art to your your automated gates. We can do as well with custom gate entries and railings for your houses, and also your wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, everything you can think of. So if you have mailboxes, you need mailboxes, we can handle too. Custom mailboxes. Sure. We have fun with it. Got a good team out there. RyanBrewer.net, and just shoot us an email, and we can take care of you.
Do you have one of those really big fancy offices with like a big oak desk, and like when people walk in, they're kind of scared of you?
No, I do not. It's not a fancy, but I do have a big oak desk. Yeah, I've had that for long. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years now. This will be 20.
Well, you're old. I know. Yeah. Now I can finally say that.
I am.
Yeah.
I don't feel it.
That's good.
Every day.
You stay in shape.
Most days I do, but
you stay in shape.
So I'm doing all right. But yeah, RyanBrewer.net, and we can take care of you.
There you go. Good stuff. All right. So kick returners, Juju McDowell and Nick Harbor, punt returners listed, obviously, as Juju McDowell and then backup Gage Larvadain. Elijah and I joked yesterday, you don't want to see Juju and Nick return too many kicks, right? But you do want to see Juju return a lot of punts. But how do you like
You do. I like Juju on both of those because it's showing that, hey, we need to get the ball in his hands some way.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, Juju, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a huge Juju fan. I think he's got to get touches some way. Whatever he does, running back wise, slot receiver, or even go motioning out to the slot. I want to play slot receiver. I told him that, but punt return, catching the ball first is something he hasn't done here. But just catch it first and then just go be a human joystick and have some fun with that. Make sure you're going forward. 5 yards is still 5 extra yards.
Right.
It's okay. The kickoff return, definitely don't want to see him back there a lot. Seeing Nick back there would be, that's not your normal kick returner.
Right.
We don't have a guy that tall and whatever, but if you can get him with I just want to see one time with a full, as fast as he can go, see what he can do with the ball.
Sure.
And I think I think everyone's wish is just to see if he gets the ball open field, how fast is he?
Yeah.
And that just excites me and it really does. But are you shifty enough to make one miss and then just, get me 35, 40 yards. And if it just breaks, it'd be awesome. But those two guys back there is kind of funny. Just going to see the height difference of both of them when it comes to combat.
Yeah.
But I definitely two electric guys that you need, but they got to secure the ball first because that's opening play, man. Make something happen.
Yeah, and we didn't get a special teams touchdown last year until that Vanderbilt game, pretty late in the season, and most Shane Beamer and Frank Beamer coach teams took a lot of pride in those special teams units. I think it's fair to say they regressed last year on the special teams portion of the football, but when you've gotten to go to practices and you've gotten to see them kind of inform on special teams, do you think it'd be a fair, kind of take or prediction to say that they can get back to where they were just a couple of years ago?
I think a lot of that what Limbo brought was a lot of surprise, that element of surprise there. He brought some cool, gimmicky things when it comes to the punt. Obviously, the punter, what Kai did, throwing the ball and things. So it's tough now. Everyone knows something like that can happen. So they backed off a little bit. So that's why there maybe wasn't as much from one year to the next year. When it comes to returns, having a new special teams coach, and they said that he's just bringing so much to the table. Just the knowledge wise is crazy. But I think scheme wise and things like that, they're blocking them up. It's more maybe traditional, but they really emphasize, and you can see there's a passion for it. And Beamer's always going to have a passion for it. So no matter what special teams it is, you got to sit there kind of holding your breath. All right, what's about to happen? And you're hoping for something, good to happen on our side. And it could be a gimmick. It could be something simple, whatever. And even every time Kai punts the ball, you're like, what's he going to do? How's he going to punt this one? Is he going to spin it high? He's going to try to drop kick it or kick it with his left foot this time, right foot? Or is he throwing? Oh, what's he doing? Sometimes just kick the daggone ball and get it off. You're thinking too much about it, but it is. It's fun as a special teams guy myself. It's really fun to watch what they're going to do there, and that's. I know we're talking about return game, but the kicking game itself is it's all new for us now.
Yeah.
We're so used to having a field goal kicker, and
right.
It's been pretty much money for the last. Heck, I don't know how many years, and now we're all right. He could be money as well, and I hope he is. It's all new, fresh faces.
Yeah, local kid Alex Herrera takes over. Mitch Jeter now kicking for Notre Dame. Speaking of Notre Dame, final thoughts here real quick. They go to A&M. A&M a slight home favorite, but maybe the computers favor the Irish. Who you like?
I like Notre Dame. I think they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
I think that team's on the up, and they're going to bring Notre Dame back to maybe not what Holtz had going on there for a little bit, but they're getting close.
Clemson's a 13.5-point underdog.
Yeah, Georgia wins this game, but it's going to be a close one. I really think it's going to be a battle. It's all new. I mean, you got first games, there's going to be hiccups. Yeah. I think Georgia's coming out of the gate a lot faster than they were 20 years ago. We loved catching them early in the season because they were struggling a little bit. Not struggling, but they just they didn't get
they ramped up.
But Kirby's definitely got them ramped up early in the season.
Kirby's found a way to get them
going. But at the same time, it'll be a close game, but Georgia will win that one.
I think Georgia just steps right on the treadmill now at like 12 miles an hour. Like, run. You better go faster. Go. Do it again. And I asked Elijah yesterday, Florida, Miami, Canes go into the Swamp, very slight favorite. I think it's 2 points, but I hate using must win when it's everybody's 0-0. But
don't start bringing must win out in the first game.
I said I hate using it, so I won't.
But you use it all the time.
Man, it's close.
It is August.
It's close.
It is August. It might be a must win.
I just think Florida's got to win that game, man. Otherwise, they're going.
They might implode right off. You might be right. They might, if they lose that game, the whole season might be over.
Was it? It was one of the on-3 guys. Was it Andy Staples or JD Piquel that called it the Pitchfork and Torches Bowl?
Oh wow!
Because whoever loses.
Oh wow! Yeah.
The thing is, if Miami loses, there won't be that many pitchforks and torches because their fan base is not that big.
It's gonna be like 9 of the dozen fans.
Yeah. But Florida, they may have them in like their in their clear bag.
Well, the things can get thrown on the field because it will be at Florida, so I think it might be a little more hellish.
Gamecocks and ODU on Saturday. You'll be there. Enjoy
I'll be there.
it.
Hopefully everybody else does too because we're going to need everybody.
RyanBrewer.net to learn more about what Ryan and the crew do. Hour 2 is coming up.